Good evening. I hope everyone has got your laptops. Who has not got it? So you can go to your PG and get it. How many of you have not got? Please raise your hands properly. Okay. You have mobile. It has Slack application. I think there was an announcement made there. Right? You didn't see that. Now you saw it. Now it was posted. What time? Oh, you had come before that. Oh, okay. Fine. Sorry. Anyways, though I think all others have got laptop along with charger. Don't open laptop, charge will go off. Skip it. So, let's continue with the previous class. In the previous class, we had seen different CRUD operations. So, in the previous, what all we have seen is we have seen how to update any employee, how to delete. Delete, did you do it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how to delete an employee, then insert, then select. So select, we have seen how to select everything. We have also seen based on department. Like that you can also select whosoever salary is more than 50,000 you can select, or less than 50,000 you can select. You can select however you want basically. So apart from all of this particular thing, within this itself there are certain things or certain modifications we can do. For example, when we are inserting the data, what exactly is happening is, let's assume that this is the database that we have. So what exactly happens is there is already a connection established and you are creating one query over here. So let's assume that this is an insert query that you have created. If you need to execute this, there is a method that you will write. What is the name of the method? Execute update. So if you execute the method called as execute update, whatever query you have over there, that query will actually make sure it will execute, and when it executes over here, don't you think in the table one row gets added or not? Yes. Let's assume there is another insert query that is present over there. If you want to execute that, what are you doing is you will say execute update. When you say execute update, one more row gets added. So, are you hitting the database again and again over here or not? Yes. Again, let's assume there is one more query. When there is one more query over here, when you say execute update, one more query gets added over here. Again, what happens? Again, you want to insert one more. So, you will again say execute query. So, again that particular query will be added and one more row gets added over here. Is this clear to everyone? Now what exactly happened in this situation is, whenever you wanted to insert something, one row was getting added over here. Now this is actually not considered to be a good practice. Why exactly it's not a good practice if you ask me? I will first give a non-technical example for you. So whenever what you are doing is you are hitting the database again and again and again. That is actually considered as inefficient way of doing it. Why? First let's understand the non-technical part of it, then we will understand the technical part of it. So non-technically if I have to speak, I live in BTM. I found a new house in Whitefield. I hope everyone knows where Whitefield is and how you need to go to Whitefield. If you don't know how to go to Whitefield, you go to Silkboard, from there one day you catch one bus for Whitefield. You will understand how many hours it will take for you to reach there. So if you live at 6 o'clock, you will reach at 10 o'clock at night. That is basically. Now what I want to do is, I want to transport my bed, I want to transport my refrigerator, then TV, all of these things to Whitefield. So what I will do is, I will book one porter or one truck. I will put first my bed into that. I will say go. He will go to Whitefield, he will put the bed, then he will come back. Then I will put my TV inside that. I will say go. Then he will go to Whitefield, he will put the TV, then he will come back. Next, next what to do? Any other clothes, all bags I have kept, I will put one bag into that. I will say go. Now what exactly I am doing is, I am sending him again and again and again and again. Correct or not? Is it a best way to do or the worst way to do? I was sending again and again because I didn't have truck. I just have one scooty. So in scooty I was taking one by one. Then what is the best thing to do? get one big truck, as big as possible. You should be able to put your whole house inside that truck. Like that, you need to get one truck. Correct or not? Is that the best option or not? Yes, that's the best option. So what you can do is, whatever items you have, you put that inside it and send the truck once. That truck will go over there, put everything in Whitefield, and it will go wherever it wants to. Is that clear? Is it good way of doing it or bad way of doing it? Same thing you have to do in your database as well. How can we do this? For example, let's assume this is the database. Inside the database, there is one table. You have already created one, connection. And you are writing some Java program. Over there, you will create one file. This is not your Java file. You have created a separate file. And this file is what we call as a batch file. Now what I am going to do is, whatever queries are there, I will not send the queries one by one. Rather than that, what I shall do is, I will put all the queries inside this. So first query, whatever I have, I will put inside this. Second query, whatever I have, I will put inside this. Third query, whatever I have, I will put inside this. But how do I put the queries inside the file is a question mark. If I need to execute the query, what was the method we made use of? Execute, update. So similarly, if I want to add the query into this particular file, what is this file called as? Batch file. So if you want to add it to a batch file, you will call it as add batch. If you say add batch, what happens is, whatever query you have, that gets added to this batch file, because this file is called as a batch file. Again, you want to add one more query, again call the method add batch. It will be added over here. So till now, did you actually hit the database or you did not hit the database? You did not hit the database. Whatever queries are there, you are just adding it into the batch. Now what you shall do is, this whole batch file you will send, like how you sent one truck after filling it completely, same way you will send that to the database. How do I do this if you ask me? Very simple. There is another method to actually make sure that your batch file executes. How do I execute the batch file? Simply by saying execute batch. If you say execute batch, whatever queries are there inside that batch, all of that will come over here and it will execute one by one, and all of the rows gets inserted over here. Is that clear to you? And it is not necessary you should put only insert query. You can put insert query, you can put delete query, you can put update queries. Is that clear to you? But you can put only DML queries. That is insert, update, delete. Is that clear to you? And you do this when you are doing some modification to the database. You do not do this when you are fetching data from the database. Fetching data from the database is what? Select query. You will not do that over there. Only in case of execute update, you will make use of this. Is it clear to you? So in the previous class, when we were discussing, we were inserting multiple rows, correct or not? When we were inserting multiple rows, did we hit the database only once or multiple times? So today we will modify the code in such a way that we will hit that database only once. Is that clear to you? Any doubts in this? No. So let's do that particular thing. So for that, let's directly go to the code that we have already written. So if I take you to the code that we have already written day before yesterday, this is the code. So this is the code that we had written in the previous class. So what exactly have we done in this, if you ask me? We have created URL, username, password. I hope everyone knows that. What is the first step that we follow usually when we are writing any JDBC code? Load the driver. So I am loading the driver over here. Next, what do we do? Creating the connection. We are creating the connection. This is one extra statement that we have written to display whatever is already there in the database. After that, what we need to do is we need to create the statement, and we create the statement whenever the query is complete. If it is incomplete, what do we do is we prepare the statement. Is that clear to you? So over here I have told prepare statement and I have written the query. Is this query complete or incomplete? Incomplete query. You can see after this, if I scroll it, you can see there will be question marks inside this. Is it complete or incomplete? Incomplete. So what did we do is, we took the ID from the user and we set that. We took the name and we have set. We have took the email and we have set it. We took the department and we have set it. We have took the salary and we have set it. And after that we have told execute update. Is that clear to you? So now if I say execute update, what happens is, it will reflect in the database or not? Yes, it will reflect in the database. After reflecting in the database, next it is again asking, do you want to enter more employees? Yes or no? If I say yes, then again this loop will repeat. Again it will change the ID, change the name, change the email, change the department, change the salary, and it will again update. Whatever incomplete query you add, for that is it changing all the details or not? Yes. After changing all the details, again updates. Again that incomplete query, you will change all the details, again you will do it. When you are doing it again and again, what is happening is, you are hitting the database again and again. How do I prevent this? Just one method. Should you say execute update or should you add it to the batch file? Batch file. How do I add it to the batch file? Should I create any batch file or not? No. You don't have to create any batch file because batch file is already created. You just have to utilize it. How do you utilize? You can say statement or prepared statement dot, and after that you can say add batch. This is all you need to do. But will this add batch method return anything back? No. So I will remove this particular return type from here. So I shall remove it from here. So you can see error is gone, I value is not there, so I am removing the type. Is that clear to you? Now when I do this, again he is asking, do you want to enter more employees? Yes or no? If I say yes, what happens is, it will repeat once again. After it repeats again, what is happening? Add batch. When I say add batch, is it hitting the database or not hitting the database? Not hitting. Again I will enter one more details. Again I will say add batch. After that I will say, no, I don't want to enter more employees. So will I come outside the loop or not? Once I come outside the loop, till now, have I hit the database or I have not hit the database? I haven't hit the database. Now if I have to hit the database and add that batch file or execute that batch file, what is the method name? Execute batch. So what I will do is, I will come outside this while loop. Over here I will say prepare statement dot execute batch. This is what you need to say. Now what does it execute? Will it execute one query or will it execute multiple queries? Multiple queries. Say me, when you told execute update, what was the return type? Integer, correct or not? What did that integer mention if you ask me? That integer told how many rows were affected because of that query, correct or not? Now say me, if there were 2 execute update, how many integers you would have got? 2 integers. If there are 5 execute update, how many integers you would have got? 5. Now say me, when you are saying execute batch, is there only one query or multiple queries? If there are multiple queries, don't you think it should return multiple integer values or not? Every query, how many rows it reflected, it should return that. So if it has to return multiple integer values, it will not return you one single variable, rather it will return an array of variables. Is that clear to you? So what type of array does it return if you ask? It will return you an integer type array, and you can clearly see it is returning an integer type of array over here. Any doubts till here? Any doubts? No. If you actually execute this or traverse this array and check, it will print every query, how many rows it has affected. Do you want to print and check that as well? Okay. So I hope everyone knows for each loop now. Yes. So let's write one for each loop. So I am traversing the array. I will say system.out.print. Is that clear to you? So after that, again we are displaying all the employee details. That is all about this program. So if I just execute this, these are the details which is already present inside the database. Is that clear to you? Let's add one more detail. So I will say 11. Oh, name I will call it as Sachin. Email let me re-execute this. ID 11. Department Finance, salary 1 lakh. Do you want to employ? Yes. Next person. Oh. Last bench. Call the person who is outside. I will say yes. I will say ID as 12, name as Virat. I will say email is gmail.com. After that department I will say maybe IT. Salary I will say, do you want more employees? Yes, no? Who? Who are Rohit Sharma's fans here? Which department? Captain is HR department. Want more? No. You can see how many integer values it has printed? 3. Because there were 3 queries. These many rows the first query reflected, these many rows were affected by the second query, these many rows were affected by the third one, and you can see all the 3 details are available to you in the bottom. Is this clear to everyone? Any doubts in this? If you see the output, it is exactly same as the previous output. But if you actually ask for the efficiency of this program, the efficiency of this program is far better than the previous. How do you prove it? Sorry, I cannot prove it. But there are, I cannot take 3 inputs and I cannot prove it. If you want the proof, then you should have lakhs of inputs or at least thousands of inputs. So the thing is it really used in the real time? Yes. You all have bank account? Yes. So in bank account, these days UPI payments are there, majority of you make UPI payment, that's great. But UPI also has limit. If you want to make payments in 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs and all, UPI cannot make it. Then what will you do? Huh? You will go to bank. Huh? Online transfer. How online transfer? Huh? NEFT. Okay. There is something called as NIFT or NEFT something. NEFT. Yes. Whatever you call it as. Not Nifty. That is different. And apart from that, there is something called as IMPS. And there is one more thing called as RTGS. Learn these things. Basic finance. So there are 3 types of transfer usually all Indian banks provides. One is IMPS, RTGS and NIFT. Now when it comes to IMPS, how does it work if you ask me? You actually enter the amount and after that you will say what is that, who is the receiver, how much are you paying and all of that, and you will say transfer, immediately transfer will happen. Now this may not look like a great thing for you, but you need to understand for your parents' generation that was a great thing because there was no UPI back then. Not during parents' generation, even when you were in school that was a great thing. But there is a problem in IMPS. What is the problem if you ask me? There is a limit for IMPS transactions. How many transactions, how many IMPS transactions can be made if you ask? In a month, usually depending on the bank, in a month maximum 5 you can make. Every day 3 you will make. Correct or not? Morning 1, afternoon 1, evening in UPI. Immediately transfer will happen. But earlier or even today as well, if you want to make this transaction, in a month you can make only 5 transactions. Majority of the bank 5. There are some with 3 transactions as well. Why? No idea. I didn't have any idea when I saw this particular thing. I was like, simply bank is scamming is what I used to think. And then what happened is RTGS and one more is there, NIFT. I think in that NIFT, what exactly happens is, if you make a transfer, it can immediately happen, or it might happen maybe within next 2 hours. Next 2 hours? Oh, you guys know well. Oh, nice. So it will happen within the next 2 hours. When I say within the next 2 hours, it can happen in 2 minutes, it can happen in 30 minutes, it can happen in 45 minutes, it can happen in 50 minutes, 1 hour 20 minutes, 1 hour 40 minutes, or exactly 2 hours. How is it? There is something that is happening, not Java. Everywhere Java, Java you will say. Something I have to say, so I'll say Java. Not impressed. So this is how it works. Same thing goes with RTGS as well. Now this NIFT and all, I don't think they have any, limit or anything as such. You can make how many ever. I'm not sure about how much is that. I have never made even a single transaction in NIFT. But this is how it works. Now why exactly is it done like this? Because you need to understand, whenever you see any balance in your bank application, you need to understand how exactly it works is, whenever you create an account, is your data available in their database or not? Yes. So what happens is, you are basically their customer, so they will have one table. Table is not visible. Okay. You connected that table one over here. Fine, no problem, no need. So, basically what happens is, what's your name? Hari. Your name? Amrita. So, Hari has one account in SBI Bank. Amrita also has one account in SBI Bank. So, when Hari has created an account, basically it means there is one table called as customer when it comes to SBI Bank. And in that table, Hari is one row, Amrita is another row, that's all. So in that row there are different columns, name, phone number, email, balance, most important one. So in Hari's, some problem, I don't know what problem. Connect dongle later on. So now when it comes to Hari, he has 10,000 rupees in his account. So basically in that Hari's row, that balance column will be 10,000 rupees, that's all. Same way Amrita also has some 20,000 rupees. So in that Amrita row, that balance will be 20,000. That is how it is. Is that clear to you? Now what happens over here is, Amrita will transfer her amount, 5,000 rupees to Hari. Now, when Amrita transfers some 5,000 rupees to Hari, what exactly happens is, in Amrita's row, 5,000 rupees will be reduced. In Hari's row, 5,000 rupees will be increased. That's all. They are just adding that money and subtracting that money. So, in how many rows are they doing it? In 2 rows they are doing. Now say me, when every transaction, that is called as a transaction, she is sending to him. Is that clear to you? When this happens over here, does that particular transaction recorded in the bank or not recorded in the bank? Recorded, because when Amrita goes and sees a transaction. She will see that particular thing. Same thing with Hari as well. Now, in that transaction, who transferred? What was the amount? What was the transaction ID? What time was this transaction made? All these details will be there. So, all of that details belongs to another table. Is that clear to you? In that table, it will clearly say who is the sender, who is the receiver, what is the date, what is the time, and what mode of payment was it. All of these details are there in a completely different. So, say me, when one transaction happens, is that details recorded in a table or not? Yes. So, one insertion happens plus two update statement also happens. Correct or not? Yes. Now, in case of SBI Bank, do you think there is only Amrita and Hari present as customers? There are lakhs and lakhs, so maybe in crores and crores of customers available for, who is that? SBI. So they have one server. In that server, whenever you make a transaction, basically you are making use of this server, correct or not? Because the application is not running in your phone. Application might be running, maybe the client side is running, but major part is running in the server side. So when Amrita is making a transfer to Hari, there are so many other lakhs of people who are trying to make the transfer. When so many of them make, let's assume there are 1 lakh people, or let's assume 10 lakh people are making in 1 hour. So how many times are you hitting the database, if you ask me? How many times? 10 lakh times you are hitting. Not only 10 lakh, in fact you can consider as 30 lakh times, because one insertion plus 2 update statements, correct or not? So you are hitting the database how many times? 30 lakh times. Now if you are hitting the database 30 lakhs times within an hour, is it, don't you think there will be some effect in the server or not? Yes, when you are hitting it again and again and again, there will be some effect, and something might even go wrong as well. Is that clear to you? So, why there is no IMPS, if you ask me, or there is only limit of 5 IMPS transactions, if you ask, the reason is this. What is the reason is, if you give an option of IMPS, unlimited IMPS, nobody wants to do RTGS or NIFT. Everyone wants IMPS itself. Why? Immediately it will show whether transfer has happened or not. So everyone will go with that. But if everyone goes with that, it will affect their server. Is that clear to you? And that's why what they did is, you do not make use of IMPS. There is a limit. Emergency only you make use of IMPS. Rest of the time, we will make sure that this particular thing happens at a certain time. So they would have created one batch file. And whenever you make a transfer, the details are recorded inside that particular batch file. And after that, every 2 hours once that batch file will execute. So earlier, how many times it was hitting the database? 30 lakh times. Now how many times? Once. And every 2 hours once it is hitting. So in a day, how many times it is hitting? If you ask me, just 12 times. And one by one, all the transaction will happen. So when one by one all the transaction is happening over here, there would not be any problem, because till it has 2 hours of time to execute all of the queries one after the other. So this is the purpose of this particular batch. Is that clear to you? So, and that's why that IMPS, RTGS, all of that is there. I also got to know about this when I learned database. Nobody told this is what it is. You need to connect the dots and understand, oh, this is why it is. So you can give a real-time example like this when in interviews they ask these kind of questions. Is that clear to you? And that's all about batch file. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. So basically, batch file is not very difficult, just 2 methods, that's all. Yeah, please. UPI, how it is happening. UPI is it's following a completely different structure. It's not following this particular thing. That is why you call it as UPI. Earlier, it was called as some, Phone Pay, Google Pay and all. Now, UPI is the term which is popular, because the way that it is built is not at all in the way that web applications are built. Is that clear? So that follows a completely different architecture. So whatever we are learning over here is a certain kind of architecture, and what is that architecture? We call it as MVC and all of that, that we will anyways learn going ahead. But UPI does not follow that MVC architecture, it follows a completely different architecture. Not just UPI, when it comes to WhatsApp, even that immediately happens, that also doesn't follow MVC architecture, it has a different architecture. And every kind of application has its own architecture. So whatever we are learning is a certain kind of architecture. So UPI doesn't come into that, and that's why so many payments or transactions can be made. And who takes care of that? Government takes care of that. That's the thing. Any doubts? Any doubts? Great. Fine then. So you can actually open your laptops. So I will not be continuing with the class. So Sharath sir will be continuing with the class. So please make sure we will be creating one project. So to create that particular project, we need certain prerequisites, and he will be showing you what are the things that you need to do. You have to complete it. If you have any doubts, ask him. Even Mallikarjun also will be available over here. So please make sure that any doubts you guys have, you get it clarified. Is that clear to you? And clarified in the sense, then and there itself get it clarified. So before you go back, whatever they ask you to do today, you have to do it. Is that clear to you? If you ask me how long will I take to sit and code that, I will take maximum of 5 to 10 minutes to sit and code that. You might take maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hours to code that. Because that's the gap. Experience also you can see. It is not because yes, it is a kind of experience. And when I am saying experience, when I was in your time, that is when I had just graduated, not just graduated, when I was still in college, I would have done the same thing in 5 minutes. So, why? It is not that I was way ahead, no. I was in the track, you are out of the track, that's all it is. So, sorry if you had felt hurt and all. I am not responsible for that. You yourself is responsible for that. What I mean is, first time when you are doing something, it will take time. When you continuously do that, it will not take time. So when I do the project, you should not be like, oh, what is this? Oops only. I don't want this reaction. So I want, oh, this I know, this I know. You just teach me the advanced one. That is how I want each one of it. So from today's class onwards, every day you need to carry your laptop. Every day some task will be given to you. You need to complete the task and then go back. Is that clear to you? So for that, don't stop bunking the class, because I am saying one more thing. Day before yesterday, I was on Saturday, I was in talks with one of our clients. So he had actually, I mean, the company name is Sunbase or something, Suntech, no, Sunbase only, I guess. So basically, company doesn't have any office in India, sorry, not in Bangalore, it doesn't have in India. They have office somewhere in US. So they are recruiting a lot of Indians, and because the cost of Indians is 90% lesser than others, not times, 90%. That's different. So basically, if they are spending 1 lakh in US, they are spending 10,000 in India. That's what basically they mean. So if they are hiring you at 20,000, over there if they have to hire same person like you, they have to give 2 lakhs. That's a difference. So that's why they are hiring a lot of them from India. And they got to know that there are he was actually searching for students through LinkedIn. And when he was searching for students through LinkedIn, he actually went and collected around 1,700 resumes. And after that, he was not able to shortlist even a single person. And then he actually shortlisted from Internshala or something. Around 700 profiles he got over there, because earlier he was working over there. And over there also he did not shortlist anyone. Then he came to TAP Academy. Somehow he found TAP Academy and he asked, do you have any students? Then he gave his requirement. So he told us at starting itself, I don't want 700, 1,000 and all. I worked on this. I did not work out for us. So he asked, these are the technologies that the students should know. Basically in that, core Java, SQL and advanced Java was there. When I say advanced Java, not Spring, Hibernate and all, just JDBC and J2W. So you have already done with more than 70% of JDBC by now. So This is what he asked. So whoever students were there exactly from the previous batch. So when I was doing the previous batch, in case of JDBC, there were so many students. Once I started J2EE, that is servlets and JSP, the number of students came down to this much, maybe some 20% of this. Then when I started project, hardly on the final day of project, when I asked them to present, 20 students were there. From 200 it came down to 20. What I did is, these 20 students I sent, plus 115 more students were added from the batch before that. And in that particular students, he was happy with all the students. And so what happened is, there was one requirement given. He told I will be hiring around 7 of them. So in that requirement, almost everyone did that requirement because it was very easy. And then he improvised that because he didn't want to hire everyone. And after that, he actually gave another requirement which is a bit more complex, and he asked, what do you teach in class? And he asked something what is not taught in class. So he wanted to see who is ready to learn and then implement it, and he has shortlisted a few of them. And the salary was 20,000. So, 20,000 for the first 6 months, then after that it will be 50,000 plus. So this is what the salary structure was. Then he got on in a call and he was saying that I am very happy with the TAP Academy students. I tried here, there and all, they did not know all of this. Why he was happy is because we sent only those students who have attended the classes. And in this I also told him very clearly that, see, if you really want students who are good, if you give 20,000, they will not accept, because every day they are attending 1 hour drive. Whether they know through TAP Academy and outside TAP Academy also they are attending. I am not speaking for all the students, I am speaking only for those students who have attended all the classes. Because the one who have attended all the classes know that person's value, and they will do it. Immediately from there it changed from 20,000 to 30,000 rupees. And now whoever is getting hired, in JD it was put as 20,000, now they are going to get 30,000. In and without any deduction. Work from home, work wherever you want. And he was saying that there are some of them who are doing, what is that, vacation or something. Yeah. Vacation, not vacation, vacation. Vacation means full holiday. This is work plus holiday. So from some Bali and all of that. So this is how their team usually works itself. And he also told that a month on month I will be hiring, and we want to increase the tech team. If you have profiles, please keep providing like this. So I did not send the whole batch resumes. I sent only 20 resumes from one batch. Not me, I mean our team. Why exactly? Because we know who can do it, who cannot do it. If I had sent 200 people, he would have not given the same feedback, because he has to conduct interview for all 200 people, and in that 200 people it is guaranteed that 180 people will not do, because that 180 people did not even attend all the JDBC and J2EE classes. What is the use? So this is the thing. And these kind of companies will not say 3 months before and they will not come. Immediately they will come. And when they come, you should be ready. That's all I mean to say over here. So utilize this particular thing. If you are lazy, oh, he will ask me, where have you done, show me and all of that, and if you start bunking, I am not at loss, you are at loss. Carrying laptop is very heavy, 3 kgs, 3 kilometers I need to walk and come. I have no problem. You sit in home, watch online, no problem. But who is at loss? That's it. So please make sure whatever is told to you now in the class, please do that. Whatever doubts are there, ask those doubts, follow all the standards that is asked for you to follow. Is that clear to you? Do you want the break, or can we immediately start? Immediately start? Great. So the classes will start immediately. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.